Hi there. Have you ever thought to yourself, I know exactly what the rat opening is and I have no trouble against that. What I really want to know is how do you beat the weird variations within the rat? You've come to the right place. Look no further because that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this video. How to beat weird rat variations, beginning with D6. In this video, you'll learn how to beat openings which will never come up. The value adds learn general mindset and what's involved to convert advantages after your opponent does something weird. And you get to help me learn if other people also like what I like because I spent a lot of time doing this kind of thing and it's rather isolating and doesn't pay the bills. Let's check it out. The table of contents, to give you a general roadmap of the video and what to expect, is there is no table of contents. I removed it. It's more infuriating than confidence building, as it turns out. What I will tell you is that a lot of strong players, even masters, will actually play c4 here, which walks right into the rat, and you don't want to do that. This is actually a dubious move to do this. You don't want to do it. It's not as dubious as this garbage move d6, but it's still bad, and white scores poorly because they've demonstrated that they clearly don't know the rat. So you got to play knight f3 or e4 or knight c3. Honestly, if you're a King's Indians player, based off what I've found, you really should be playing d6 first. But that's a whole nother topic. We're talking about the weird stuff. Let's get into it. So you want to do knight f3. Then here we go. Let's say they play, I don't know, knight d7. Let's give that a go. Who's going to do that? Let's run some numbers on this. Why don't we? 3% of masters and general population at rapid are playing this 7.6. So not completely out of the question. It is a dubious move. And then what you want to do is here, and you're nearly winning. How do you win this? Let's check it out. E5, C4. That's the first move that came into my mind. We're not going to push it, I guess. I'm reviewing this for myself. I made this file a while ago, and I just thought it'd be kooky to do this. C4. Okay, so you do here. This comes up. You go like this. Bishop to E7. We see this move. Castles, and we have a nice comfortable advantage. Like the fact that they're not, fianchettoing this guy or anything is contributing to that. C6, bishop E3, A6, D5, and it was a weird start to it, but this is a relatively normal looking position. Otherwise, I mean, the bishop on E7 is peculiar, but it's it's a position. Knight D2, knight B6. Pawn to a4. So we're going to immediately pursue, action on the queen side. And by immediately, I mean we're going to get all our pieces developed first, right? So we got all these guys in the game. King is castled. And then do we play on the king side or what? No, we want to play actually on the queen side right now. And then, in the only two games that position's ever been reached, players went with this move here, which is a blunder. Don't want to do this. Sure doesn't look like it. Because after a5, don't they just win this? No, because you get to take here, and now you're attacking the queen. I have plenty more to say about this. Queen comes this way to e8, and now we take back this pawn right here. We're up a pawn. Cool, this is going well. We're going to close out this openings database book, and look at this. I made so many notes on this. This is a couple months ago, so this will be interesting. Knight d7. And now in the game here, this player went with bishop to e3, a natural enough looking move. However, a better one was this move. I remember this now. Here's what's happening. We're up a pawn right now, right? And so what do you want to do when you're up material? You want to do trades. So white missed this move. And what this does is, in a really annoying way, it makes like a pseudo pin. I mean, it's a pin. The consequences of moving the knight are simply that we would just trade away the queens. And so it's amazing how much that actually limits black since they're also not able to move their queen here or anything. So what are they going to do? Well, surely they do f5, hoping to come out this way. And again, it's kind of hard to see the point of this. Like, this is strange. We're just going to leave this bishop here. It wasn't necessarily awesome looking on b6 anyway. It's, more intuitive to have it here. So it's kind of like, where are we going with this? What's the deal? Well, after f5, you can take this thing. And now what are they supposed to do? They're going to take it back with their rook? I mean, they're not well coordinated at all. Knight f6, shwink, you trade off the queens, and you're doing really well. So, for practical purposes and objectively, that move was in fact a bit better. Pawn comes now to f5, in the actual game. And then now e takes f5, which is a good move. In another game, or so it seems, where there are more than one, oh joy. So this was, okay, yeah. This was how the actual game went. F5 would be a novelty. I added this move because I'm like, well, what if they did this? So if you're looking for a novelty to play as black on move 16 and a weird variation of the rat, give F5 a go. No, I wanted to know, like, what if they put up a fight? F5 is a good move. In the game, they went with knight c5. As this turns out, it's bad simply because you do this trade. And even though we only have like this one big asset right here, this passed pawn, and we just gave up the bishop pair, we're winning this. So knight to c4, great outpost for this knight. We have light square bishop here, and so this is the imbalance, right? The knight versus the bishop right here. Which piece is better? The knight. This knight is definitely better than this one now. So after right here, bishop comes back, rook b1 again. So the actual game went knight b6, rook a7, c4. This comes like a so, and we go like this, and then he goes queen d5. Yeah, this is pretty good technique. So he won another pawn, using his space advantage to kind of do a maneuver with his queen there. Here takes, there takes. And then he won the exchange. Ooh, nice little X-ray tactic there. That was snazzy. We'll give that a double exclam. Woohoo! Yay! Because now, should they recapture, say, with the rook, then we go here, and then this, and then right here. Okay, so what did we learn? So many things. So let's go back. We talked about knight d7 on this move, and essentially later this plan where they don't even like fianchetto. The practical value of this video is just overwhelming. No, but there's interesting things about how you would convert this. So at this point right now, I think it's moved into the land of like winning, and then after here, it's definitely winning due to this snazzy little in-between move. So that was neat. And then we're up a pawn, and then what do? Well, the big one that stood out to me was this. I thought that was really interesting because it's unnatural to move the queen like that. I mean, you would think that maybe the queen belongs in this general area. I mean, f5 is like coming. And so it's interesting that we needn't fear f5, but rather we have this awkward pin where if they move the knight, then we get to do a trade, which is very desirable for us. So here, there takes, and then we're doing well. So that was one thing that we learned from it. Other thing we learned is that, it's kind of more basic, but like this knight is better than this bishop, so yay. Okay, now hold on. There's more I want to go into this with this game. So if pawn to f5, oh, hold on. This transpose later. Was this a master game? No, but it was later. Hold on. Aha! This is a blitz game. I was digging deep here. So knight f6 is a good move. Rook takes f5 was played in the game between a couple of heavy hitters, 2500-ish players, and then now he went like this. What should he have done? This is satisfying. Queen a4. This time too, the queen can also get back into play along the fourth rank, so it kind of makes more sense that way. But also it relates to this whole pin because now they can't do knight f6 kind of stuff. So he goes this way, and then the opponent goes right here. What he should have done was an exchange sack. He goes like this, and then white's still winning after accepting it and just going for further trades. But that was a fitting time to do it. Instead, he goes back rook to f6. What was he thinking? And then knight c4. Again, queen a4 would have been the ticket right here. Now this rook comes over to g6. And, imagine you're in an actual game. You don't know that this is winning. Like, that starts to look like it's becoming something, right? I mean, black's kind of getting... This is where it's interesting to me. I imagine I'm actually at a board, and I see this. What would you do? After right here is a mistake. Once again, the move is queen to a4. And again, it's just you're just trying to get this pin going so the knight can't come into f6. So after rook to b1, knight f6, knight b6, which is okay. Here takes, there takes. How are we doing on material? We're up by 1 point. I love this stuff. I love figuring out like how would you win when you're just up 1 point, and they have counterplay. I spent way too many hours on this kind of thing, but it makes me a better player, so I like it. Have I justified my existence enough? Probably not, so I'll do it lots more throughout it. G3 actually was a better move. more resolutely shutting out all chances of like this rook, having some activity. After this, rook to f8. Now he goes with the move pawn c4, sealing the deal here on d5, in which he then occupies immediately. Here takes, there takes, and then this is a shutout rage quit or mouse slip. Quality example there. What do we learn? We learned that this rook here kind of became some funky fresh beats, trying to have some activity going this way. As it turns out, it was more fitting for black to get this knight f6 move in. Both players kind of undervalued it, as demonstrated by black here by not moving the knight to f6, which as it turns out was worth an exchange sack, and then also by white's failings to not go queen to a4 at several moments where he should have, just stopping this whole thing. I'm curious though, so at the first moment in this actual game when he went here, what if they move the queen out here first and then move in the knight? Well, for one thing, they'd hang the queen, so that's not good. What if they go this way though? What's the deal there? Actually, it's not that deep. It's just that the queen would come into c6 with devastating effect. My Einstein little cat, Mr. Einstein, he has joined us. What do you think about weird rats, Einstein? He's like, I'm busy. Don't bother me right now. Jeez. He seems uptight. Okay, so that's how that could go. Now, not quite done with the game just yet. After right over here, knight to f6, this is how a couple other blitz games went right here. Pawn to g4 was played in every instance of this position, which sure looks good, right? I mean, it's like you're kind of getting this nice little grip here on f5. These are some heavy hitters. These guys are average rating like 2,400. All of them made the exact same mistake. The better move was the simpler looking just bishop to d3, which is, it's strange doing that because now the queen's not as powerful looking as it was when it had the bishop out in front leading this whole battery right here. And so, this is where it gets fun, is learning like what are the moves that look natural but are wrong, and vice versa. So after right here, the other thing is that they can go here and maybe like win this pawn. Here takes, there takes, here takes, and what are they going to do? Take this way? Well, that's good for us. It's another trade, and you just really, when you're up one pawn, that's all you need to do is just do lots of trades. Now, if black goes this way, trying to say no trades, not going to be doing this right here. I'm going to be, going for like this guy. Okay, so then now you just bring up this queen right here. And this is looking pretty airtight. And then it's like, yeah, wait, why was g4 necessary in that equation? Kind of just trying to be overprotective of the king side unnecessarily, I think, is maybe why this move seemed more intuitive. And then in two of these games, they went like this. And now we just go bishop to c4. And I think that's pretty much just lights out, except for not really, because in this game, he also blundered with this move. And then we see another blunder. Oh my goodness gracious. Einstein. So after, I'm busy. Okay, so we're seeing multiple blunders. Let's understand what's happening here. Let's go back. All right. G4. We talked about why this is not good and why bishop D3 is better. And then we looked at this one. So why is this a blunder? Well, it would have actually been more resilient for black to go like this. They can go pawn to H5, and come on, bud, come on. God, the neediest cat. H5, and then after this, H3. Here takes, there takes, G6, and now we're starting to understand, oh, this is why G4 sucks, is because they're actually getting some counterplay now. Pawn F4, though, would still leave us in a winning situation. However, a move like, let's say, knight to C4, trying to just get our stuff developed, they could take this way, and then, I don't know, let's say we go here, trying to do like a trade here. Okay, now it's back to equality. Black's still not doing well, but if we do that, now it's back to even. So yeah, pawn F4 though would be the ticket. So we're still winning, even if they do H5, which would be a novelty. But that didn't happen. Two out of the three of the games they went like this, and then after right here, you would kind of think it's just over because this pin looks so deadly and strong. However, they have bishop here to b7, and then after here, we should not be doing this move. Is it just queen b3 now? Is that the ticket? There's lots of different moves. This one is a blunder. They're still winning, but the problem is that now they can do this. They can do queen to c6. And again, it's that issue of counterplay, where again, we're like, yeah, I kind of miss having that like g-pawn here. That was nice. Queen to f7. Ugh, yikes. Black later won on time, by the way, but he was losing in this situation. Rook b1 was now a good move. Instead of knight to e4, what was the best move right here? It turns out there were several. Queen b3 is not the main one. Queen f3 would be a good location for the queen, and then rook b1 would be a good finish there as well. Okie dokie, what do we learn there? Just different stuff about how when you're up a pawn, you want to go for trades and limit their counterplay. Cool. What do you have next? I don't know. I have to check. Let me see here. Ooh, how about this one? Here, there, this, and now bishop to g4. Likelihood of this being played, at least at my level, is okay. There we go. It's 7.6%. So not 1 in a million. We talked about knight d7 earlier. Now, after bishop g4, then pawn to e4 now is a good move. Odd looking, right? Like now you're walking right into this pin. Why is that good now? I don't completely remember. Okay, this is neat. It's not deep or anything. It's just very deliberate. Like here's the thinking. We want to go h3 and immediately pressure this bishop because it doesn't really have a good location to like go to. I mean, it should go to h5 in a second, but there's downsides to that we'll get into. But we don't want to do this now because then just take here, and now we have our pawns doubled. So instead, what we're doing here is opening up the pin. We're actually letting this knight become pinned immediately, while controlling the center and everything. But the plan is we're going to immediately pressure this guy, even after the knight attacks this pawn, because when you do h3, now you're like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to, take my pawn? Like, yeah, I really doubt it, right? Because then you just win this guy. And are you going to take here? Okay, well, then we go here, and we're nearly winning. Really significant advantage there for white. And so then after bishop to h5, which is played, yeah, a good percentage of the time. And I mean, that looks really comfortable. If you just get this, you have the big center and the bishop pair. I mean, this has gone horribly for black, so I don't know why anyone would consider anything but just bishop to h5. If we look at purely just the rapid games, I wonder, yeah, it's kind of a significant percentage going right here, and then it's still kind of a coin flip, interestingly enough. So this one retreats. Now we just do knight to c3, e6, and then if you were thinking we're going to do g4, you would be correct. Whoosha! Just like the immediate, I'm getting this bishop, I love that. I love that we can just go right for it and just punish that the bishop came out there at all. The white is just not messing around. He's just going like, whew, immediately, not developing pieces at all. This is my kind of chess. C6. Looks like there's other moves you can do here too, but that's the big one. So when did it switch? Because it was a second ago. Let's go back. A second ago, when he goes bishop to h5, then we do knight to c3. It was still kind of a coin toss. Oh, that's why I said c6, is because with c6 he's actually kind of doing relatively well. So it's still about 50-50. We took the total sum down here. And then queen to e2. Aha, this is the game changer. You play this move, it's like you either got an engine or you know what you're doing. In our case, both, right? Okay, so this is the point of that weird-looking move, queen to e2. It's all about just very deliberately going, yes, I'm going to gain a bunch of space on the king side, and your bishop is going to be harassed by these pawns. There's nothing you can do about it. So why the queen move? Well, if you go like this, and then you do right here, they just win the e-pawn. That's crazy. Like, you go with this move with the sole plan of protecting this guy. Well, what about bishop d3 then? This is such a viciously deliberate, scary plan. Okay, so this is the deal with bishop d3. If you do here, then you give this bishop a way to escape. Nah, we don't want to let the bishop escape. What they could do now is go d5, and then after right here, then when we do this, which is still a good plan at this point, he comes up, and then his bishop has an escape, thus negating the potency of our whole h5 plan. So here, and this is still a nice position for white, but now it's kind of like a French where they have, you know, the rook file open. I mean, this is nearly winning still, but you know, queen to e2 is just vicious, just a super top-notch type of a move. But what if they go bishop g6 right now? Okay, the plot thickens. So it would be a novelty. No one's ever done it because very unnatural. Like, this queen is awkwardly or seemingly awkwardly pinned right now. So why just voluntarily give up, you know, this this pin? But it is indeed the best move. So after bishop to g6, then you do h4. So then I'm kind of going, well, wait a second. It's just like a cheapo? Is that why we did this? Well, no. This queen b5 shenanigans actually plays a big part in a second too. So here, and then you do g4. Just vicious. Like, the king side gets no peace at all. Just immediately like, hold on, come back here. You know, just stomping the lights out of black right now. Like, if they take, they go like this, then you just do h5. This comes back, bishop to f4. Yeah, we're gonna be castling queenside. They go like this, e5, and then we're just gonna use this open file right here, and that is well worth the pawn. We're up the value at 2.5 pawns. Crazy, that's crazy. Okay, so then d5 would be a good move, and then you want to take this, takes right back. Knight to e5. The bishop gets no peace the whole game. You thought you were safe here? Nope. I ain't even going to use my pawns anymore. I'm going to use my knights while I post up in the center. Be afraid. And then they have to go here, otherwise they're losing. Then the bishop is put out of its misery finally. And you go like this. Wait, what? So now hold on. So then we're just going to allow for this? We're just going to allow for that? Because of queen d3? Get out. Get out. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, I stumbled upon the like engine against the engine line, essentially. This gets bananas. Okay, so this queen b5 thing is going to come up in some of these. You do a g4 right here, d5. Now, if they take like this, okay, so then we have this whole thing, and this is just crushing. There's just no hope here for black at all. Like, this is just, he has nothing. Like, he won that pawn, good for him. Now he dies, you know. Well, let's see here. If d5, and then right here, there takes here, and then let's say they retreat this guy. Nah, kapow. Here, check. And so, combined with the fact that these knights covering these squares, you know, this queen is just brutal. So then we got bishop to b4. You take this. Here takes. This is engine against engine right now. These are just the top. This would be the main line of the bishop g4. This is, you know, if you play this, you got to know main line theory, right? So this is the main line after this. Sorry to go back and forth, but I just want to iterate where we're at. Now I don't know where I'm at. What happened? Here. So like this here, this would be like the main line of this whole thing. And then it gets nuts, because after here takes, and then this takes on a2 check. What is happening? Well, black is hanging on by finger and nails here. Here, there, bishop g2. What do we play, the Grob today? Like, what is happening, you know? Here takes, there, and then they got doubled pawns, and the attack continues. Materials even. Whew. Man, that's an aggressive plan. Cool stuff. Well, at least the move that I input right here was c6. It's like one of the most common moves right here. Now they're losing. You do g4. This comes back. Now we get these pawns that come up. And yeah, that would be my dilemma. I would have so many dilemmas with this plan in general. But when they do h5, then you go, well, wait, so where's my king in a castle? They're going to know I'm going to castle queenside, and they're going to just like slam me this way. And in the meantime, their bishop is still, you know, like relatively useful. So where's the upside of this? I mean, it looks great. It looks great in theory. I wouldn't necessarily have the full confidence to do it in a game yet at this point. So d5, not even necessarily the best move, but it's the move that was played in this situation here. And then after here takes e5, it's starting to look like they consolidated a bit. But now we're going to use this king side space right here to bring in the bishop. It's like, this is a master game. Yes. All right. So these are actually over the board players. Minimum of master title. This position has been reached. This is not a new one. Have they played the bishop g6 thing before? They have. Now wait a second. So then where was the novelty? So h4 is a good move, and after right here, there, here takes. Sorry, I'm just fascinated with this situation. Oh, see, so in this situation, he chickened out. He didn't take right here. He went like this, and he later won anyway. But yeah, that was the real master game. So this would be a novelty. Cool. All right, so then after right here and here, now how would you make use of this diagonal right here? Just the amount of aggression of just being like, move to all your bishops there, not anymore. I'm going to spend my whole opening making sure that it never forgets what happened when it came to g4 in the second move. After right here, bishop e3, knight a6, dubious move. Kapow, now we get this one in. Rook to c8. And then in another game here, they went with queen to c7. Now, or not, was this a blitz game or something? Yes, it was. So castles, knight to b8, rook d2 blunder. This is rapid, so not bullet or anything. 2300s, 2400s, that's a blunder. What he was supposed to do is consolidate with this move now, just kind of going for general control over here. This bishop's like, well, I'm trying. I mean, I'm rooting for this. Now I'm kind of on the bishop's side of this. I just feel like he's been getting kicked around the whole game. You bring in the rook here, huh? Again, it looks nifty, but this bishop is still, not nothing. It's like coming back to me now. I vaguely remember going over this a couple months ago. Here, rook d4. Ah. So the rook wanted to be on d4 instead of d2. But there's a pawn there now. You just had to spend 6 turns removing the pawn, and then you get the rook here. Crazy stuff. This is what, 2300s miss. All right, this comes back. And then now after right here, then a6, and then this ends up going, oh, I remember this. Yeah. Well, it was like you get the queen trapped, right? Isn't it? The queen gets trapped? I totally remember this line. Here, and then he comes up this way, which is a blunder. And after right here, it is a sad day for that queen, who is now out of squares to move to. And this pawn is going to be coming up here in a moment, so the queen got kind of misplaced, which is why it's so tricky to make moves like queen e2, because your queen, it's hard to place your queen later. And now white just resigns, fittingly so, because now he's just getting murked. And so instead of this whole thing, what he could have done to save it at this point was to go knight to e1. This is what 2400s miss. In the game, he went like this, which is dubious, but it was the beginning of the end. What he should have done is not gone for this at all, and does knight to e1. I remember being fascinated by this move. I forget why. Knight g2. Okay, where's this going? Here takes, there takes. f4. Wow. That's so crazy. How weird to neglect to bring in the rook for 3 turns so the knight on g2 can support here. That's pretty fantastic. What do you think I say? He's like, I heard mention of rats. Are they big rats? Because I don't go after anything bigger than this size, like a silver dollar. He really doesn't. He's such a scaredy cat. So that's a cool plan. Interesting. So just this full dedication to like push this would have been the way to go. So queen c7, we saw how this one went, and now let's go back to the master game. Yes, master game. Here, castles, knight to c5, and then knight takes on e5 this away. And after right here, now he's just cruising and sailing and all that jazz. 2200 taking on taking down another 2200. Here, d6, kapow. Wow, okay. That looks very much so over. Yeah, so just kind of sidestepping around the bishop. Like, this bishop's power isn't really felt throughout this game so much. b4, too. There, and then his opponent resigned. Yeah, I mean, well, okay, hold on. Why did he resign? So he's down. He's actually, black's actually up by a point right now. It must be something pretty obvious. So the knight can't take here because of this this pin. What if he went like this? Then what would happen? Then we have rook to e3. Wow. So the pawns, when you push those like this, it's more than just about like harassing the bishop. Like, we've actually used this space advantage in a couple different ways. We had bishop right here, and we also had rook lift coming in this way. And then additionally, I think just kind of making the bishop kind of get off the fence, with h3 kind of dictates like, well, okay, if you go over here, now, these squares are going to be weaker, so I can go in like this. So it wasn't solely a matter of picking on the bishop. It was like, the exploiting the squares that it's no longer defending, and prompting it to declare where it's going to go early on, so you can determine where those squares would be. So pretty cool stuff. All right, that was 30 minutes talking about weird rats. I have more. Should I keep going? The answer was yes, obviously, for sure, keep going. I only got one more, and it's really similar to the last one we just did, because it's bishop g4, but at a later moment, which isn't as bad. Now you do e3, which still kind of puzzles me, because in all of the rat lines that I looked at a lot of rat lines. I never saw this guy go to e3 except for in this one instance. But in master game play, it scores a little bit higher. I guess I gotta look at it. Hold on. Oh, okay, I get it. This immediately actually makes a lot of sense. It's like in the Grunfeld. The bishops right here, they look kind of weird at first, but all of a sudden you go, oh, wait a second, knight c6. Now everything's working together, because there's two things directly attacking here, and then this bishop pin actually goes somewhere. I mean, based off the last game, it's easy to forget that, pins usually matter, we just devastated that in that other game. So it's like, yeah, there's still some, reason to have some fear about the ramifications of what could happen right here, as demonstrated with e4. Now it's maybe dubious is too harsh. Let's go brilliant, blunder. No, I think dubious is the right label for that. Because here it's just so skillful, just saying like, yeah, now your bishop doesn't do as much because I still have this guy defended. Look at the next line. So knight to c6, bishop comes up. What? Well, why not the h3 thing? Interesting. So it's still a decent plan to do that, but it's less harmonious, because in the previous situation, when we were able to provoke the bishop taking and we capture with the queen, it's better if the pawns are here. It also kind of goes more harmoniously with this bishop, because then it can go to c4. In this situation, it's still pretty snazzy. However, like, black can still win this, and it's not as dominant as it was before. It's not a bad plan. It's just less potent than it was previously. That being said, bishop e2, it doesn't strike me as the most potent, dangerous looking move, so I'm kind of curious, like, where is this going? Let's find out. So we have e5, okay, and then now d5, and then now h3. Okay. Yeah, it's all coming back to me. So now they have some different options. Of course, this is the best one. No, I just did that for indentation purposes. So these are master games, and they have some different choices of where to put this guy. And so it's like here. They can't do here because of this, right? So bishop can now, go to here, d7, or they can go to c8. So 3 different choices, and I guess I have a model game for each one of these. How long ago was this? It was like end of December, so it was January, February. Yeah, a little over 2 months ago. All right, so let's say they go with this one, because 2 of the masters did that one. And then now white's doing e4 in all instances. As it turns out, a4 is better. seems like you you really kind of want to harp on like the placement of this bishop. Like if the bishop is able to just gracefully leave in a harmonious way, then there seems to not be awesomeness happening like there is with this. Get out. What are we? We're not castling? We're not castling. So this would be a novel plan. No one's done it before. Look at this. Look at what. We're just gonna gain all this space on the queen side? Is that the plan? Queen c2, this comes back, knight d2. What on earth is this? Where is this going? This is so much fun because I forgot. What? Oh, that's so cool. Wow. Wow, that is really neat. Wow. So this is a novel. This is a novelty to do that one. A4. Because most people who are like masters are like, I've seen every position known to mankind that's similar to this, and in all situations you go E4. Yeah, because it's like when you do E3 here, yeah, it looks pretty snazzy and it made sense a second ago, but it sure does seem like you'd need to spend another tempo later to absolve that by just pushing it. Interestingly enough, yeah, you want to actually go here. This is better. With the plan of getting ready to castle queenside. Get out of town. Huh. All right. So in the games, though, we saw pawn e4. This knight came up like this, and then now g4 gets played. Just imagine making an hour-long video called "How to Beat Weird Rats," you know, to make the intro clip funnier. So fingers crossed. No, this is my last one, so I have 45 minutes left. Okay, let's go. Okay, here we go. Knight f6, g4. c6, this comes up this way, and then here takes, dubious move, here takes, and then this looks like the first one we saw where they did here a little bit, but the bishop was on e7. So g5 is now a good move. Man, white does not mess around with the use of pawns in every sector of the board. I mean, you just get away with murder. You just go advance this pawn, Wednesday advance this pawn, Thursday advance this pawn, whatever pawn you want to move. And then their pawns, not so much. We're taking those pawns. Knight takes right here. What just transpired? Okay, so we took back with the c pawn, b5. And so right now they're trying to sack the pawn, because if we take, then they're thinking they got some counterplay this way, but it's more skillful to wait to do. Oh, no. They have the e pawn. That's what's happening. So if we were to take like this, then they would have here and also protect this square right away as well. So he attacks it. Yeah, it's kind of obvious. Master level players, 2,400 for black, nearly 2,500. Obviously, he noticed that he was going to be outright gambling the pawn, but then came up with this clever little plan. Queen to b3 now. Yeah, when you got that space advantage, you have a lot of interesting maneuvering moves that you got to be on the lookout for. Is something that I'm kind of taking away from this. There. Bishop takes a6. Knight c4, it appears, is a bit cleaner. After here, knight to g2. King d2 was the right square for reasons I don't fully understand. They take this guy, so we're only up one pawn. I love this stuff. I love figuring out how do you win when you're just up one pawn. He goes like this. And then now we see castles, and you just advance that pawn. That's how you win. You just use that sucker, and you bring it on down the board, except for when you don't, and then you do again. How are we going to promote this guy? I want to see this. This comes over here. Seems a little inconsistent, because that was being a thing for a bit. Yeah. Okay. That's one big takeaway I'll take from this, is that against a lot of these like funky rat systems, it's just standard that you're playing on like all three sides of the board, and they're just defending like the entire time. That's my takeaway from this. So that was helpful for my purposes, at least, and that's for sure. This is not nothing though. I mean, where is this going? G3 takes here. This comes over. We're only up one pawn. Now we're up 3 points. Okay, this is a wash now, right? This is not worth playing out. Was this like a rapid game? Like what? No. Okay, he won it back. And then how do you win this? Well, you got this pawn. I guess that's a wrap. That's a wrap. Yeah. And then they resign right there. Okie dokie. That's if we went bishop to d7, but I got more. Boy, do I ever. What if they take? No, let's do this one because it's more similar. If they do right here, I guess this is, we'll say, almost dubious. Now you would want to do e4. Interesting. Why e4 now and not a4? Got it. I figured it out. Okay, so the reason that you want to do a4 in this situation, but you don't want to do it when it's here, you still can, but it's not as good. The reason is that when we're moving this a pawn up, the plan is no nonsense. We're just, our next moves are here and then here, which doesn't work if the bishop is here, because then the pawn can safely capture. Wow, crazy. It's still a fine move. You can still do it, but looks like in the event of bishop to c8, it's just not as powerful anymore. That's wild. Like, I mean, like, take a look at this position and imagine thinking like, oh yeah, my first priority is move this pawn to a6, you know. But it's, I mean, immediately that seems really interesting, because then you go, well, yeah, after that, then there wouldn't be any breaks. Then I could pull off queenside castling. Cool stuff. Well, if they come back all the way like this, which no master's ever done, we see some games in here where it has been done before, though. Here, black's actually doing well in this line. Not for good reasons. Let's see here. What's the deal? What are they messing up here? So then you play it kind of like a traditional. Hey, look at it. We saw this theme again of the knight, like maneuvering into g2 to support the f pawn, but not because it didn't do that. But yeah, so it's just like a normal King's Indian attack almost, except that they're down a couple of tempi because the bishop had to move back. So with this one, you can actually use the tempi gained from attacking it in a much more standard way, by just, you know, attacking on the king side and then also castling queen side here as well, and you just have a big head start that way. Cool stuff. One more. I think that's all I got to say about rats, unfortunately. I'll have to call it a wrap. So after bishop to f3, here takes, pawn f5, then e4. Is this because our good old friend a4 comes in, or what? Was this a move? Doesn't seem like it. I don't know why. This doesn't seem like the right call here. I noted this as a queen b3 was maybe an improvement. Pawn e4, and then after this, now look at this. They're winning 75% of the time here as black. Not a master game, right? Oh no, yeah, it is. Hopefully that's the one that I had in here. No, I didn't, because I did. Okay, yeah. Here we go. So you don't want to take this way. Okay, that's self-explanatory enough. Normally you don't. Here you want to go bishop to g5. All right, I feel like I would have found that. I mean, obviously you considered it too. So what's the deal? What gives? There must be more to it. There. And his advantage now is only slight. Yeah, because here these knights seem pretty good. This bishop doesn't seem to be superior to either one of these. So you're not really feeling the wrath along the light squares there very much. So you know something's gone wrong if your remaining light square bishop doesn't do all that much for you. Here, knight to f5 was played as dubious, but he could have just sacked. He could have accepted the sack, and then he would have been a little bit better. After right here, c takes back. C takes back this way. Black had an advantage, but went on to lose in an online tournament, 2,300 only players in 2020. Okay, so you don't want to take this way. What you want to do is right over here. Yeah, so, okay. This makes sense. Here's what's happening. When you push the h-pawn and then they take, then you go back to like normal people chess, and you're like, thanks for the bishop, and you make normal moves. It's only if they retreat that you're like, and then you just march forward and just, you know, attack them. So here you're just, that's the mindset, is you're like, okay, cool, got the light squares. Now I'm just going to put my pieces on good looking squares. This must be in the secondary database this way. Okay, so after this, then h6, and then now takes, here takes. I mean, I would be happy here, but I don't know. I mean, it almost looks like you kind of messed up for a second, right? Like, where's this going? h5, I suppose, was an improvement here for some reason. Yeah, wait, that's a big reason because now if they go here, then you can kind of like, get in this way I gotta check. Hold on. Yeah, so what ends up having just a comfortable advantage. The queen starts to pierce through there, and then the other thing we want to kind of keep our eye on is, does our bishop become better than their knight? It's kind of on the line. That's kind of a tough judgment call right here. But when you go like this, they bring over their king. The knight goes into d4. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would say the bishop is better based on if I wasn't looking at the engine. I mean, doesn't that look kind of like a monster? I mean, maybe that's not the best criteria to gauge what this advantage is based upon. But what is more concrete and a recurring interesting theme is that white is consistently locking up the pawns on one side of the board, be it the queen side or the king side, and then choosing to castle on that side. So the things you can do with the space advantage, I suppose. I'm sure there's a more precise way to continue, but I know that I said h5 was the first move. Apparently just castling right away might even be a little teensy tiny bit better. Wouldn't that allow f4? Oh, we got a game. And then bishop g4 was played, which is bad. What you want to do is go here. Yeah, so, interesting. Interesting stuff. Positional play, that's for sure. Lots of grabbing of space. Ford should. Let's see how the game continued. Queen to d2, and then after this, I'm going to close out this one. They go king up here to h7, and then he castles queenside, which is a dubious move. Better instead would have been, now things are starting to make sense. Better instead would have been to go this way, prompting black to decide if they want to close up the king side, which would enable our king to find safety on the king side. And then the engine report from earlier said that he should just not do that and allow us to take, going this way and then here. Okay, Stockfish. Here. Whoa, look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh my god. Oh my god. We're keeping the rook here because the king. What is that? I never seen that before, but all the pieces are pretty good. Wow, he just like strolled into g1 and left the rook here because it was open. What an interesting way to like use these pawns, Queen over here to e8. And then after this, then we go up here, bishop to h5 and queen d7. And then now rook h3. Wait, did I keep going with this? I did. So I tried to demonstrate how you would win here. Awesome. Let's see here. So after here and here, takes, and then this is a big indicator you've done something right in this opening, is the bishop is a lively, deathly piece, and that's definitely what we're seeing right here. Here, yeah, look at this bishop. Whew. Here, this way, are we preparing this or something? And then things are looking good. I suppose that must have been the game. Let me check. It is not the game. We left Kansas a long time ago. This is like a simulation of a possible continuation here. So there, e takes, knight takes, now bishop g4, as opposed to rook h3. So rook h3 is nifty, but better is to immediately go for c5. Yeah, sure. I mean, your pieces are decently, they're not going to get that much better place, so if this would be the ideal time strategically to go for a break, then they just can't take it because you have this stuff here, and then queen d3. Easier said than done, though. That still is a pawn. Cool stuff, though. All right, so let's go back to Kansas land, huh? Okay, in the game here, after castles, right, so he did not, decide to stroll over his king one move at a time into g1 and leave the rook on h1. Everyone knows to do that. After right here, the opponent goes like this, and then I guess loses their chance to have counterplay this way. Probably has more to do with the bishop being looked at g4 now. After this one, then we see king to b1, a6, g3, and then black somehow wins this. What ends up? So, yeah, this is alarming, because now we go, yeah, we kind of would have had greater safety on this side. This comes back, and then right here, nifty bishop right here, but not as nifty as other lines. So g takes, and then they go e takes. So a double blunder there, back to back. In this situation, again, this h5 was the ticket, which I guess looks unnatural because then you're putting the pawn in the same color as this guy. But ironically, because he's already ahead of like the pawns, it just complements the bishop's power rather than suppress it as it typically does when you have your pawns the same color as the bishop. So, pattern recognition stuff. That's interesting because I remember it better if I see how, where someone else messed up, because I can sympathize and go, yeah, I probably would have missed the same thing. Helps to remember it better. So here, instead of doing h5 stuff, he went this way. That looks pretty wretched because of this. So both players misjudged that. Black now took this way. The ticket was this move, and then that's just curtains because the knight's trapped. They must have been in time pressure here or something. And so then after b5, here takes. Now he goes e5. He's back to nearly winning now. This way takes, and then he goes h5. Tragic. That was the move we were glorifying this whole time. But he should have gone here first, and then maybe later gone h5. Oh, well, yeah. So now, yeah, I bet that's it. Because they can't even take, since then you get here, and then we keep the b file closed. So after h5, then they go g5, c5, and the game is back to level. And now black goes on to win this one. Okay, what do we learn from this one? Tons and tons of stuff. We talked about, like, if they delay the knight coming in, and hence delay castling, and bring out this bishop on the fourth move, then you do here, and then you're not as in a rush to attack this as you were before, because the value of the queen being on f3 isn't as significant as it was if it's done really, really early on. Bishop e2, and then we talked about when you advance this a pawn, when you advance this h pawn, and thinking critically about where you want to place the king. Like, one idea is to go this way, and then you just kind of go where it's locked, and you make it locked by pushing the pawns and seeing where you can establish some sense of safety that way. Yeah, and then if they go this way, you play pretty normal chess. You kind of just do like this kind of stuff, and then it's only if the bishop really starts to like dink around that's where you want to be making moves like here, where it's like, I've never seen that before, but kind of think about it, I've never seen stuff like this where they come out in the fourth move and then retreat. So that's how you would punish that. That's all I got to say about rats. Weird rats.